Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thanks God that today we are going to listen the student presentation. Yes, two students will present their topic. Firstly is Hanif S. Bagaskara, and secondly Fitriani Andari. I think each student just making a presentation in 5 minutes, I think, maximum. And starting our lecture today, let's we reciting together Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Well, Hanif, your presentation is 5 minutes, please.
Oke, siap Pak. Terima kasih. Oke, Bapak mungkin saya izin sesiin dulu.
Oke.
Apakah tampilannya sudah ada, teman-teman?
Oke, go ahead. It is clear.
Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Baik, teman-teman. Pada hari ini saya akan mempresentasikan tentang judul makalah saya gitu ya, yang akan saya tulis, yaitu tentang analisis perkembangan Kecamatan Sanga-Sanga dari tahun 1988 sampai 1947 melalui perspektif sosial politik. Oke, pertama mungkin dari sedikit profil dulu gitu ya. Sanga-Sanga itu merupakan salah satu kecamatan di Kabupaten Kutai Kartanegara, kota Kutai Kartanegara yang terletak di kawasan Delta Mahakam. Terima kasih, Pak. Oke, baik. Saya lanjutkan lagi presentasinya. Jadi untuk berikutnya, Sanga-Sanga merupakan salah satu wilayah penghasil minyak bumi dan gas paling penting di Kalimantan Timur. Jadi merupakan salah satu kota industrialis ya pada masa sekarang juga gitu. Nah, untuk pengolahan minyak sendiri itu Sanga-Sanga sudah mulai dibentuk sejak masa kolonial Belanda sebagai bentuk tujuan untuk menunjang ekonomi negaranya. Kemudian saya mulai gitu ya dari perkembangan pertamanya, yaitu Belanda mendirikan pada tahun 1988 gitu ya, ada kesepakatan gitu ya dengan Sultan Kutai Kartanegara yang bernama Sultan Haji Muhammad Sulaiman, yang mana bersama dengan salah satu perwakilan Belandanya gitu ya, mereka tuh melakukan sebuah konsensi gitu ya, konsensi yang dimana mereka itu membuat suatu persetujuan yang mana tujuannya itu adalah untuk keuntungan Belanda sendiri itu mereka itu berhak untuk meneliti, mengeksplorasi dan mengeksploitasi minyak bumi Kalimantan, dan sedangkan untuk persetujuan dari kerajaan Kalimantan Kutai Kartanegara itu adalah eksistensinya itu masih dapat dijaga gitu ya oleh pemerintah Belanda. Dan untuk masyarakat sosial sendiri pun tidak terlalu banyak dijelaskan gitu ya dari beberapa sumber yang sudah didapat, bahwa ya untuk kehidupan sosial masyarakat sendiri pun tidak terlalu banyak dibahas. Jadi saya menyimpulkan bahwa pada masa ini kehidupan sosial masyarakat itu masih dibilang normal gitu ya, dengan tidak berbeda dengan wilayah-wilayah lainnya gitu. Itu pun berakhir sampai tahun 1942, yang dimana pada tanggal 11 Januari gitu ya, melalui Tarakan, Jepang itu mulai melakukan invasi ke seluruh Indonesia, dan pada tanggal 27 Januari kota Balikpapan pun runtuh gitu ke tangan Jepang, yang mana pada akhirnya penguasaan di Sanga-Sanga pun menjadi lebih sangat cepat gitu. Nah, dengan ini pun dimulai juga awal pendudukan Jepang di Sanga-Sanga, yang mana pada masanya pada Undang-Undang Osamu Serai gitu ya, Osamu Serai itu banyak kebijakan yang dilakukan oleh pemerintahan Jepang gitu. Salah satunya adalah mengirimkan tenaga teknik dan tenaga kerja dari Jawa ke Sanga-Sanga gitu, yang mana sebagai bentuk akibat dari aturan pemerintah Jepang itu banyak masyarakat yang mengalami kemiskinan dan ketidaksejahteraan secara kehidupan gitu. Jadi banyak masyarakatnya itu yang kurang dipedulikan gitu oleh pemerintah Jepangnya gitu sebagai bentuk pekerjaan Romusa gitu. Dan terus itu sejak adanya Jepang, eksistensi Jepang itu banyak organisasi-organisasi yang mulai bermunculan gitu. Salah satunya adalah organisasi BPDP yang dimana organisasi itu pun bertujuan untuk mengakomodir masyarakat-masyarakat yang terlantar gitu, terutama kepada masyarakat Jawa yang ditelantarkan oleh pendudukan Jepang gitu. Nah, setelah Jepang itu mulai mengalami kemunduran pada Perang Pasifik atau Perang Dunia Kedua, sekutu Australia pun mulai melakukan invasi gitu ya, invasi ke wilayah Borneo, salah satunya di wilayah Sanga-Sanga, dengan dikirimkannya G-Force, pasukan kecil Intel G-Force dengan tujuan untuk banyak melakukan intel dan melakukan informasi gitu. Nah, pada 17 Agustus, dari 14 Agustus Jepang pun menyerah gitu ya, dan pada akhirnya pendudukan Jepang itu pun pada pendudukan Jepang di Indonesia itu mulai terjadi vacuum of power gitu. Nah, sejak adanya itu pun pendudukan Australia itu mulai menetap gitu ya di daerah Sanga-Sanga, tapi tidak bertujuan untuk menjajah, melainkan hanya sekedar menetap gitu. Nah, selama tentara Australia ini menetap ini banyak gitu ya, ada banyak, maksudnya bukan banyak gitu ya, terjadi sebuah harmonisasi gitu antara masyarakat Sanga-Sanga dengan Australia gitu. Salah satunya adalah mengakomodir organisasi sosial BPDP gitu, yang dimana mereka melakukan kerjasama gitu. Salah satu kerjasamanya itu adalah membangun infrastruktur, membantu masyarakat, kayak seperti tentara Australia itu memiliki truk, jadi membuat mobilitas kesejahteraan masyarakat itu semakin lebih baik gitu. Dan secara tenaga kerja pun masyarakat itu dengan sukarela gitu ya membantu tentara Australia. Nah, mereka pun juga sempat melakukan pertandingan gitu ya, pertandingan antara masyarakat Sanga-Sanga dan juga tentara Australia, dan juga Australia pun juga menghormati gitu ya, menghormati dan membebaskan masyarakat untuk mengibarkan bendera merah putih. Akan tetapi pada di akhir tahun 1945 pemerintahan Australia pun mulai dikembalikan gitu ya ke tentara sekutu lainnya gitu ya, yakni tentara Nika gitu. Nah, dengan datangnya tentara Nika, harmonisasi yang sebelumnya terbentuk itu pun mulai mengalami pengurangan gitu, di mana organisasi-organisasi salah satunya BPDP itu mulai dicurigai sebagai salah satu organisasi politik yang mengancam eksistensi pemerintahan kolonial India di Hindia Belanda gitu. Nah, dengan
Hanif,
dengan
your
bagaimana Pak?
time was open, so
Oh ya Pak, terima
leave
kasih
it
Pak.
enough 5 minutes.
Baik Pak, terima kasih.
Close your share screen. Well, the last presenter is Fitriani Andari. Fitriani, similar, your time also 5 minutes, please.
Baik Bapak, terima kasih. Izin share screen.
Okay.
Apakah sudah ada?
Okay, go ahead.
Oke. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Di sini saya akan mempresentasikan materi terkait peranan organisasi Budi Utomo pada masa pergerakan nasional di tahun 1908 hingga 1926 dalam kajian politik. Nah, Budi Utomo ini merupakan organisasi pergerakan pemuda yang bertujuan untuk mencapai kemerdekaan Indonesia. Dan tokoh-tokoh yang mencetusnya itu terbentuk Budi Utomo adalah para pelajar Stovia seperti Dr. Sutomo, Wahidin, Suryo, dan Gunawan Mangunkusumo. Nah, Budi Utomo ini tuh secara resmi dibentuk pada tanggal 20 Mei 1908. Budi Utomo menjadi organisasi nasional pertama di Indonesia yang memiliki tujuan untuk menggapai cita-cita Indonesia merdeka. Nah, Budi Utomo telah mengubah perjuangan bangsa Indonesia yang awalnya dilakukan secara fisik menjadi perjuangan secara diplomatis gitu, atau mengubah dari perjuangan yang asalnya bersifat kedaerahan melalui senjata-senjata dan berubah menjadi yang bersifat nasional atau melalui perundingan-perundingan. Nah, Budi Utomo ini tuh telah memprakarsai satu hal yang paling penting gitu untuk membangkitkan semangat nasional Indonesia mencapai Indonesia yang merdeka. Nah, hubungan Budi Utomo dengan pemerintah itu tuh cukup dekat. Hal ini tuh karena banyak pengurus organisasi Budi Utomo yang menjadi pegawai pemerintahan. Nah, maka dari itu gerakan Budi Utomo ini tuh terkesan lambat dan sangat hati-hati gitu. Hal tersebut membuat Dr. Cipto Mangunkusumo ini akhirnya keluar dari Budi Utomo karena mereka itu menginginkan Budi Utomo itu berada di gerakan yang militan dan bisa bergerak ke dalam bidang politik. Nah, sebenarnya Budi Utomo ini tuh bukannya tidak mau bergerak di bidang politik, hanya saja pergerakannya tidak boleh terlalu cepat gitu karena tadi yang dekat dengan pemerintahan. Nah, semenjak Raden Adipati Tirtokusumo menjadi ketua dari Budi Utomo ini, banyak anggota baru dari Budi Utomo yang bergabung dari kalangan yang bangsawan dan pejabat kolonial gitu. Sehingga banyak anggota muda atau anggota yang lama ini memilih untuk menyingkir dari Budi Utomo. Nah, di bawah kepengurusan Raden Adipati ini, kegiatan Budi Utomo yang awalnya terpusat di bidang pendidikan, sosial, dan budaya, akhirnya mulai bergeser ke bidang politik. Nah, strategi perjuangannya pun berubah gitu dari proto-nasionalisme menjadi lebih kooperatif dengan pemerintah kolonial Belanda. Nah, dari tujuan Budi Utomo sendiri, gitu, Budi Utomo itu tetap tidak bisa mendeklarasikan sebagai organisasi politik secara terang-terangan, karena Belanda selalu mengawasi pergerakan Budi Utomo secara ketat gitu. Bahkan rapat-rapat yang dilakukan sama Budi Utomo pun selalu diawasi. Nah, Budi Utomo ini tuh sempat dianggap sebagai ancaman bagi kedudukan bangsawan, yaitu saat menjadi penguasa birokrasi dan bekerja sama dengan Belanda. Nah, organisasi Budi Utomo ini tuh mulai terjun ke bidang politik sebenarnya sejak meletusnya Perang Dunia Pertama di tahun 1914 gitu. Jadi ketika Perang Dunia Pertama berlangsung gitu, Budi Utomo juga mulai menjalankan misi-misi di bidang politiknya. Nah, contohnya itu ada melancarkan isu politik bahwa mempertahankan diri sendiri itu lebih penting daripada serangan bangsa lain. Kemudian ada mendukung gagasan wajib militer bagi bangsa pribumi. Lalu juga mengirim komite Indi Werbar ke Belanda untuk memperkuat pertahanan Hindia Belanda di tahun 1916 sampai 1917. Kemudian juga anggota Budi Utomo diizinkan untuk ikut dalam Volksrat gitu, ikut serta, kemudian membentuk komite nasional dalam menghadapi pemilihan anggota Volksrat dan juga merencanakan program politik berupa keinginan mewujudkan pemerintahan parlementer yang berasas kebangsaan. Nah, untuk menunjang kegiatan politiknya gitu, Budi Utomo ini tuh menerbitkan majalah bulanan dengan namanya Guru Desa gitu. Mungkin sekian yang dapat saya sampaikan. Mohon maaf bila ada kekurangan dan kesalahan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Fitriani Andari, for your presentation. Well, another student who didn't presentation today, please you directly making the brief comment and sending to the WhatsApp group, okay, until 5 and 10 o'clock in the evening, okay, so no more. So not waiting until I make the brief comment finished, okay. Okay, I would like to make the brief comment. Firstly, in general, okay, and I would like to remember you that this subject is how to use the interdisciplinary approach. In this case, I think the social sciences approach to analyze the historical event or historical fact. Okay, so because of that, in general, you must concentrate to how using the social sciences approach, whether the sociology, political science, and others, to assist you in analyzing and explaining the historical event, your topic. Okay, so I think both Hanif and Fitriani not yet using the social sciences approach to analysis your topic. Okay. Okay. However, I would like to make the brief comment specifically to the Muhammad Hanif Surya Bagaskara. Okay. Your title is contradict with your analysis. If your title you want to know the development of Kecamatan Sanga-Sanga, okay, but in your analysis you don't explaining about the development of Kecamatan Sanga-Sanga. You talk about the oil, talk about the Japanese occupation, talk about the, I think, please, maybe should be modify your title, okay? And your title also what we call in historical discipline is the anachronism, okay? Because the terminology of kecamatan, I think it is the terminology in the time of New Order government in 1970s. Do you understand? So the terminology of kecamatan didn't occur in the time of Dutch colonial government, in the time of Japanese occupation, and in the time of Indonesian Revolution. So the kecamatan under district, it is the terminology occurred in the time of New Order government. In the time of colonial government is on the district or kewadanaan. Okay. So your title is anachronistic because you mentioned about the kecamatan. And I think you want to analyze it based on the social and political sciences concept. But unfortunately, social science or political science is not yet occur in your analysis. Okay. So and also what kind of aspect do you want to analyze in this topic? You will analyze, for example, the head of sub-district, the head of under district, camat. You will analyze the role of Bupati, the Sultan, or you will analyze about the oil in the Sanga-Sanga on the district, in the Sanga-Sanga updeling, and so on and so forth. Not yet clear. What do you want to analyze it? And should be using also social science approach or political science approach. For example, if maybe if you want to concentrate about the oil, you should be analysis with the economic approach. Okay, production, distribution, supply and demand, how the oil is needed by the Dutch colonial government, and how oil also needed by Japanese occupation. I think should be clear what do you want to analyze about the topic. Okay, so between title and analysis should be connected. And your period is from 19th century, 1888, to 20th century, 1947. But your explanation more in the time of Japanese occupation and Indonesian Revolution. In 19th century, 1888, in early 20th century, you did an explanation about the Sanga-Sanga condition. Okay, so should be proportional between what really happened in the Sanga-Sanga updeling, in Sanga-Sanga sub-district from 1888 to 1947. Okay, and as you know, particularly in the time of Japanese occupation, it is different with the Dutch colonial government. The territory of Indonesian Archipelago in the time of Japanese occupation consisted of 3 region administration. Java and Madura Island, administrated by the Japanese Army 16, and then Sumatra and Malay Peninsula administrated by the Japanese Army 25, and other island, particularly in East Indonesian island, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Maluku, Bali, Little Sundanese Island, and West Irian, administered by the Japanese Naval, Angkatan Laut Jepang. And the policy between the Japanese Army 16 in Java and Madura, Japanese Army 25 in Sumatra and Malay Peninsula, and Japanese Naval in East Indonesia Archipelago is very different. So please ensure that your explanation about the Kalimantan is different with the condition in Java. Because in the time of Japanese occupation, the policy for the Indonesian archipelago is very, very different. And the liberal policy in the time of Japanese occupation is in Java and Madura Island, in which the Japanese Army 16 giving the what is big opportunity to the Sukarno, Hatta, Ki Hajar Dewantoro, and also Ki Haji Mas Mansur to engage in political matters. Meanwhile, in Kalimantan, in Sulawesi, there's no open policy for the Japanese naval. So please ensure when you analyze about the Kalimantan condition in the time of Japanese occupation is very different with in Java and in Sumatra and Peninsula, Malay Peninsula Island. Java and Madura, the capital city is Jakarta. Sumatra and Malay Island, the capital city is Singapore. Meanwhile, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and others, the capital city administration is in the Makassar. In Makassar, in South Sulawesi. Okay, so please should be aware that when you want to analyze about the Kalimantan, including Kutai Kartanegara and Tanga, it's different. It is under the Japanese naval administration. Okay, so very strict policy, not liberal policy like the Japanese Army 16 in Java and Madura. Okay. So maybe you also should be analyzing about the history of Kingdom Kutai Kartanegara. Okay, particularly, for example, why in the time of Indonesian Revolution, how the attitude, political attitude, and also response the Sultan of Kutai Kartanegara toward the Indonesian Republic. It is positively or negatively. It is neutral, pro or anti the Indonesian Republic. Because I think for many kingdoms in Indonesia, just one kingdom that supported the Indonesian Republic, Kingdom Yogyakarta, okay, Kesultanan Yogyakarta, because of that Kesultanan Yogyakarta until now giving the special region, daerah istimewa, because his contribution, his role, and good response to the Republic of Indonesia. And when the capital city of the Republic Indonesia in Jakarta is not secure, unsafe, the Indonesian leaders moved to Yogyakarta as the new capital city of the Republic of Indonesia. Okay, so should be also analyzed how the response of Kutai Sultanate to the new state of the Republic of Indonesia, including also the figure, the Sultan. Okay, so I think by integrating Kutai Kartanegara as part of the East Kalimantan profile, it is showing that maybe Kutai Kartanegara is similar in political attitude and response with other kingdoms in Indonesia, maybe neutral or maybe also what is not fully supported to the new nation state of the Republic of Indonesia. Okay. You reference just two books, Kehin and Daswan. It is should be added. Okay. Should be added. You must be at least 10 sources. Okay. 10 books or article in the journal, in the reference, in the bibliography. You should be read about the history of Kutai Sultanate. Okay, in the time of Dutch colonial administration, in the time of Japanese occupation, the time of Indonesian Revolution, because you also using the Kehin book, Judge Maximilian Kehin book. Please see about how the response or the history of Kutai Sultanate in the context in responding to the Republic of Indonesia. Okay, and I think please also you using the SNI as standard book in the time of New Order government, and IDAS the standard historical book in the time of reform era Indonesia dalam arus sejarah. I think if you want to understand about the condition in the time of Japanese occupation, please you read the Hari Jinrih Benda. Hari Jinrih Benda, okay? Bulan Sabit dan Matahari Terbit. I think it is his PhD dissertation, how the Japanese occupation administration in Indonesia, particularly in related with the policy toward the Islamic Ummah in Indonesia. And for understanding also, for comprehending also the Indonesian Revolution in war, not only in Java, but also in other outer island, you should be read about the Anthony Reid book, Indonesian National Revolution, Revolusi Nasional Indonesia. It is different with Kehin. If Kehin just concentrate how Indonesian Revolution occurred in Java, but Anthony Reid explaining about the Indonesian Revolution in the whole region, not only in Java, but also in Sumatra, in Kalimantan, in Sulawesi. Maybe you, by using the Anthony Reid book, maybe you will know about how the condition, the history of Kutai Sultanate in the time of Japanese or in the time of Indonesian Revolution in the early period. Okay, and the Reclap book I think should be read also because it is a general history about the modern Indonesian history in the time of spreading of Islam in this archipelago until the New Order period. I think reform, maybe reform period. Okay, so. But finally, please answer what do you want to analyze about your topic? You want to analyze about the history of kecamatan, history of sub-district, history of Sanga-Sanga, and the leaders of Sanga-Sanga, Camat, Bupati, Sultan, or you will analyze about the oil, how the oil as the economic commodity making change to the Sanga-Sanga sub-district. So should be clear what do you want to analyze about your topic, okay? So between title and body of knowledge or body of what is do you want to analyze it should be connected and should be comprehensively, of course, based on your topic. And also remember, please, that this subject is how we can use the social sciences approach, and please you select it, whether the economy, political science, sociology, and others, in assisting the historical event, historical fact. Maybe you want to analyze about the historical event in Sanga-Sanga or in East Kalimantan, in Kutai region, but please you use about the historical approach, about the social science approach in analyzing the historical event in Sanga-Sanga, in Kutai, in East Kalimantan, and so on and so forth. From 19th century in 1888 to early Indonesian Revolution, 1947. Okay. Do you understand, Hanif?
Yes, I understand, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, you're welcome. Lastly, Fitriani Andari. Fitriani peranan organisasi Budi Utomo pada masa pergerakan nasional dalam kajian politik. I think it is also similar. You will use the political sciences approach, but unfortunately, in your analysis, in your explanation, that has not yet occurred. Okay. I think I suggest you maybe not in the political study, but based on the social and cultural perspective, social and cultural aspect. Because based on social and cultural aspect, you can analyze, for example, the social structure, okay, the social authority. For example, the figure like Dr. Sutomo, Dr. Wahidin Soedihodo, who are they? Who are they? Who this figure? They come, for example, from noblemen, from upper or middle class. Okay, so I think you should be analysis about the figure of Dr. Sutomo, Dr. Wahidin, based on the maybe sociology or cultural perspective. In order, when you analysis about the Budi Utomo organization, it is giving something new perspective. Not only descriptively, chronologically, this is Budi Utomo, blah, blah, blah. I think it is the conventional explanation, not based on the social sciences approach, okay? So I think the social sciences approach, social or cultural, including also political sciences approach or concept is not yet been used in your topic in your PowerPointers, okay? And you also should be understand about the Budi Utomo organization goal or objective, okay? I think the main objective of Budi Utomo in the early period is not for gaining independence. I think the gaining independence, the idea, the concept of independence, I think just in 1920s, when the national movement entering to the radical movement. But in the early 20th century, from 1908, the establishing of Budi Utomo until post First World War, Perang Dunia Pertama, I think the Indonesian nationalist movement is still moderate, not yet radical. Because of that, the main goal, main objective of the organization, including Budi Utomo, is not for gaining an independence, but for progress. How to make, for example, the Javanese society to be progress, to be prosperity, not independent. Okay, so should we understand about the history of Budi Utomo organization? Okay, and also this is my critical question: why your topic just until 1926? Because Budi Utomo, particularly led by Dr. Sutomo in 1938, in 1930s, established new political party called as the PBI, Partai Bangsa Indonesia, led by Dr. Sutomo, who left the Budi Utomo organization because Budi Utomo organization is too soft, too moderate, not radical, and have no objective or goal for guiding the independent. Okay, so I think your period is not until 1926, but should be 1958 or 1942, in which it is the end of the Dutch colonial government and starting the Japanese occupation in Indonesia. Do you understand, Fitriani, about your title, about your period?
Yes, Ustaz.
Okay. And yeah, so Budi Utomo changed his struggle, I think, entering or starting 1930s, in which the Dr. Sutomo Awenselep established the PBI, Partai Bangsa Indonesia. Okay, so and you know, the main goal of Budi Utomo is for enhancing, empowering the Javanese culture, not the Indonesian culture. Okay, how the Javanese culture should be relevant with the modern civilization, modern Western civilization. So Budi Utomo is not political organization, but cultural organization. And the main goal, main objective is to enhance the Javanese culture, not guiding the independent in political methods. Okay. And Budi Utomo, I think, is the local organization, not national organization. Budi Utomo, I think in English is the good values organization or good endeavor organization. Okay, so it is not political organization. And it is interesting to note here, maybe you didn't know that in 1948, the establishment of Budi Utomo to be a commemoration about the Hari Kebangkitan Nasional until currently. Okay, the question is why Budi Utomo, since Budi Utomo organization, since 1948 became to be commemorated as the National Emerging Day or a National Awakening Day. Okay, Hari Kebangkitan Nasional. Maybe should be analysis, should be explaining in order you understand why the commemoration of the National Awakening Day starting at 1948, not since 1908, in which the Budi Utomo was established. Okay. Okay, maybe it is also your analysis or explaining it what is too general, not specifically related to the Budi Utomo organization, because your reference is not yet clear. Okay, so please, you must using the at least 10 sources, maybe book, standard book or article in the journal, and should be using the standard historical book, okay, about the Budi Utomo. It is also including Hanif and others student, okay. If we want to talking about the topic in history, should we identify what standard historical book related this topic? As I have mentioned earlier, there is not something new in historical study. There's many scholars, historians who studied about your topic. Okay. For example, in the time of Javanese occupation, Hanif, okay, there's the Hari Jewenda, there's the Aziz, there's the Ben Anderson, and so on and so forth. So should be identified, should be searching about the standard historical study purposely, okay, including also Fitriani. I think if you want to talk about the Budi Utomo organization, There's many standard book, classical study related to this organization. You should searching about the Akira Nagajumi. It is the PhD dissertation, Japanese historian who studied about the Budi Utomo organization. Translated also his book in the Bahasa Indonesia. Searching in the Google, okay, about the Akira Nagajumi, about the Budi Utomo organization. DMG Koh, I think it is also talking about the Budi Utomo organization. Abdul Ghaffar Pringgodigdo, Sejarah Pergerakan Rakyat Indonesia. There's also many talking about the Budi Utomo. Deliar Nur, okay, his PhD dissertation in Cornell University, translated also in the Bahasa Indonesia. Gerakan Islam Modern, not only analysis about Syarikat Islam, Muhammadiyah, but also Budi Utomo. Okay, should be used the Deliar Nur book. Of course, you also should be read about the SNI, Sejarah Nasional Indonesia, as a standard book in the time of New Order government, and the IDAS, Indonesia dalam Arus Sejarah, as a standard book in the time of Reform era, and Reclaim, it is general history about the Indonesia, modern Indonesian history, translated also in the Bahasa Indonesia. And if you want also to understand about Budi Utomo as the modern organization in which using the social media, not social media, mass media, magazine, newspaper, should be read also Abdurrahman Suryomiharjo and Ahmad Adam, including also my book. my book about the history of newspaper in Indonesia. Okay. As you mentioned that Budi Utomo using the magazine, Guru Desa, using also the newspaper Ratna Dumila, okay, using also the newspaper Darmo Kondo. So what is storytelling? I think, Darmo Kondo. Retno Dumila, I think Jewel. Guru Desa, village teacher. I think should be understand by reading the Abdurrahman Suryomiharjo books about the newspaper, history, and also Ahmad Adam about the history of newspaper in Indonesia in the early period 20th century. Okay, Fitriani, do you understand? Because you didn't using the reference, okay? So please ensure that you can identify or searching the standard historical book. Who the historian, who the scholars, who study about the Budi Utomo organization. There's the many studies. And you should be understand about the previously studies in order your analysis, your explanation about the Budi Utomo is correctly and comprehensively. Okay. Okay, I think that's my brief comment. Thank you very much for your attention, and please my comment, my suggestion, my recommendation should be make sure that in writing the poor people should be what is explaining comprehensively and objectively, particularly by using the standard historical book. Okay, I think every history student should be know about what the standard historical book for every topic. There are not something new. If we want to study whatever, the history of woman, the history of teacher, the history of economy in Indonesia, there are many scholars, many historians purposely who studied about our topic. One of our tasks, our obligation is searching, identify, find out about the previously study, okay? Previously studi sebelumnya about our topic in order our analyzing about the topic is comprehensively giving something new perspective, not only just repeat or copy paste based on what is another study. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and let's ending our lecture today by reciting together also Hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Inshallah we will meet again in next week with a different topic, different presentation, and I would like to use also the different language in Malay language maybe. Okay. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Bapak.
Okay, welcome. We can learn from Zoom meeting.